Ladies and gentlemen, in this Gaming Telecom video, we're going to be talking about AMD's upcoming RX 480 yet again. So of course, the next generation Radeon is going to be released by the end of the month, but yet further CrossFire 3D Mark scores have appeared onto the internets, and we have various vendors' GPUs actually pictured, plus as well some information slash speculation slash rumours, depending how you want to take it, regarding the overclocking potential of the cards. So we're going to talk about the CrossFire performance. Now, normal 2 grains of salt when discussing 3D Mark performance, especially when a card has not been released. Unfortunately, we don't know all the information regarding, for example, what systems these have been taken on, the benches, and we also don't know, for example, driver revisions. And finally, how well does the card actually perform in games is a bit of a mystery. We have some information regarding, say, Ashes of the Singularity, which was shown off at AMD's own event in terms of crossfire scaling, but 3D Mark is notoriously not that great on AMD's own hardware. Furthermore, if it scales as well in actual games versus 3D Mark, well, that's for you to decide. But anyway, so all these scores are from 100%. So basically, talking about Firestrike performance, you're looking at just a shade under 12,000, and it gets 22,700 with Crossfire. That's about an 81% increase in performance, and that's insane because that very slightly edges out the GTX 1080, considering the price differential between the setups, in other words the 1080 versus a 480 Crossfire. I can definitely see a lot of folks wanting to go with Crossfire 480s for cheaper GPU performance. Of course, it's not the optimum setup. GTX 1080 is neater, it's simpler, and you're more likely to be able to get a consistent level of performance across multiple games. But for those pinching the pennies, or for those, say, buying one 480 now and another one in, let's say, 3 months' time, it's definitely a really good route to go. It's also basically on par with the R9 390X, and considering the price difference between the 390X and the 480, especially when the 390X was released, that's just stupendous. Honestly speaking, these cards are just absolutely monstrous, and I can't believe AMD are actually selling them at the price point they are. It has a real potential to absolutely shake up the market, and it's going to be very interesting how AMD's rival Nvidia are going to respond. Another rumour which is swirling around at the moment is that the RX 480 overclocks like hell. So from what we're hearing, the GPU is capable of hitting at least 1400 MHz, but some reports are that the GPU is also capable of 1.5 GHz or above on air. Now, from what we can hear, there's also going to be a series of RX 480s called Beast Mode, and these will include 4 plus 8 pin power connectors for additional energy and overclocking headroom. Now, obviously this means that the usual partners such as Sapphire and Asus and MSI would of course support this. Now, from what we understand, the RX 480 only consumes around 100 watts of power right now, and that is with a temperature of only about 60 degrees. One can therefore make a pretty good logical argument that there's going to be an awful lot of headroom even on the standard cards. My personal take on this is it's going to be nuts, because if rumours regarding the performance of these GPUs, basically hanging out at the, let's say, the 980 level, if it can overclock that amount, let's say 10-20%, that's insane. That's putting it to the 980 Ti territory, or maybe even at the GTX 1070 levels. And considering the price differential between the 480 and the 1070, that is absolutely ludicrous. And I imagine an awful lot of folks are just going to say bollocks to it and go with either the 480 or a Crossfire 480 solution and just absolutely rip through games without any problems at all. There are a couple of questions, of course. A, how much beast mode versions of cards are going to be. For example, are they going to be $250 US, $280 US? We don't know. Or maybe there's not going to be much price difference at all. And second thing, is it going to be worth buying a beast mode card? For example, maybe the standard GPUs on typical, and obviously I'm just throwing numbers out here, but it could be that typical cards hit 1450, 1475 megahertz, and beast mode hit, let's say, 1525 or 1550. Therefore, is it worth paying an extra $50, $60, $70, whatever it ends up being for the beast mode? Maybe. I think a lot of individuals would probably rather put that towards maybe just getting another standard GPU and going CrossFire at that point, but obviously your mileage may vary. As usual, when it comes to these types of rumours, wait until you hear official confirmation. Do remember though that the GTX 1080 overclocks like crazy as well, and Gigabyte, for example, are teasing that the GTX 1080 can hit about 2.1, 2.3 gigahertz with manual overclocking, but that is the extreme gaming version, and a lot of individuals are pushing the 1080 clocks absolutely through the stratosphere. So theoretically it's possible that with the 6+8 beast mode cards, 6+8 obviously being the power connectors, we could see 480s going absolutely through the roof when it comes to overclocking. It's quite interesting though, because certain variants of the 480, for example XFX's, is actually overclocked, factory overclocked very subtly to 1288 megahertz, which is not that much faster than usual. It's normally at 1266, but considering that once again you get 8 gigabytes of memory clocked to 8000 megahertz, it's absolutely insane level of performance which is possible on these cards. Honestly, I'm really liking Pascal in terms of it shook up the really high-end cards, but I think one thing is really abundantly clear, and this is whether I'm talking to viewers on Facebook, because I'm pretty active there, so if you want to click on the link, you can by all means message us, or whether we'll be talking to friends. The RX 480 is really an exciting prospect because the price point is something that most people can manage, especially if they've already got a fairly reasonable CPU configuration. You know, most people can stump up 150, 200 bucks, which would be obviously the 470 or the 480, and get an absolutely killer system, which is going to basically stomp the PlayStation 4 into paste, and it's also going to actually rival the Scorpio in terms of level of performance. In fact, theoretically, it could actually beat the Scorpio if it overclocks well, and you can get it now. So I think it's one of those cards where sometimes you get these GPUs which are like such good value, it's insane. And we've had these propositions before. For example, you might remember the 9500 Pro back in the day, which you could mod, and it would go to the 9700. This was back when ATI were a thing. And you might recall the 3DFX Voodoo 3 2000s. Most of them actually featured memory which would go all the way up to the stratosphere, and the cores would also overclock really well also. My own personal Voodoo 3 2000 would, and I'm not joking here, clock from 143 megahertz to just at about the 190 to 200 megahertz range. And considering that was released in what, 99, that's insane. And you know, we've had definitely other GPUs which have either stood the test of time and lasted for friggin' ages, like the GTX 8800 series, or have been really good value for money and have been those cards which everyone's been using. And of course we've had those on CPUs as well. The infamous Celeron 300A, where everyone would bloody well overclock the damn thing to like 450 megahertz, and it was a cheap barrier to entry card, and it basically meant for a lot of folks, they just said, forget the Pentium 2, I'm just going to go with the Celeron, overclock the balls out of it, and it was a great Quake machine. Some people would even be able to get theirs to like 504 megahertz or whatever. Anyway, I'm getting very much off the beaten path here. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care of yourselves. Normal thing, if you liked it, you know, like the video. If you want more of this stuff, subscribe. We will be trying to do a lot of reviews over the next couple of weeks, which are one reasons I've been really frigging quiet. I'm doing a Scorpio analysis in the background. I'm still handling an interview for a couple of folks. Working on getting some hardware, which I think you can imagine what that is going to be. And that's about all I can say for now. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. I'll see you soon. Take care. Have a good day. Bye.